Hey guys, happy Thursday. It is 11 a.m., which means it's the newest episode of Bless This Nest. If you guys are stumbling upon these live videos for the very first time, I want to introduce myself again. I'm Mariana Pearson. I'm the owner of Modern Nest Real Estate Group, this page that you're following. We are a real estate group out of DFW, Texas. We help buyers and sellers buy, sell houses for real estate agents. Right now, for the month of May, I am doing a first-time home buyer bootcamp series where every week I'm going live to talk to you about different parts of buying your first home. Even if you're not buying your first home, I know some of you have been jumping on and just want to refresh on what it's like to buy a house. So hopefully some of you guys are jumping on for the first-time home buyer bootcamp. But if you aren't, and this is your first time to join us for a live video, still stay on and listen to what I have for today's topic. But you can always go back and watch the last couple weeks too to kind of fill you guys in. So again, I'm Mariana, Modern Nest Real Estate Group. First Time Home Buyer Bootcamp is what we're talking about today. And if you guys are jumping on, let me know. If you guys are here with me, say hello, introduce yourselves. I see some people pop on and then off, so that's okay. You can always go back and watch the rerun. But really quick, let's just recap some of the things that we've already talked about in this First Time Home Buyer Bootcamp series. I like to just kind of jump into it. So week one, we talked about the things that you could be doing right now to help prepare yourself to buy a home. So getting your credit in order, start saving for a down payment, all that fun stuff. In week two, we talked about you getting serious and getting pre-qualified. So working with a lender to talk about your finances and see what kind of price point or budget you should be looking in when you search for houses. So again, you can always go back and watch those two videos. I went live to talk about them, but they were recorded as well. So you can always go back and just search for First Time Home Buyer Bootcamp, and those will pop up for you guys to watch. Today we're talking about, today is week three, so step three, week three, whatever you want to call it. Today we're talking about house hunting. So now that you're pre-qualified, right, we're officially going to start the house hunting process. So I'm going to talk to you about all the things you need to know about getting your criteria set up to what it looks like to actually go and look at houses. So along the way, just a reminder, if you guys have any questions for me, I can see your comments. I actually flipped my camera this time so everything reads correctly. Someone made a comment about that last time, so you guys can see all the stuff behind me. But if you guys have any questions for me, I can see your comments, and so I'm happy to answer those along the way. That's why I wanted to do these in live versus just in videos, just to kind of be more interactive and help you guys be that resource and answer any questions you have about buying your first home. So let's go ahead and get started. So setting up your custom home search. So this is when things really get exciting. You're officially about to start house hunting. You no longer have to, take a look online, or let me back up. So at this point, you're probably already started kind of doing some sort of search, either online. I know some sites like Zillow or Realtor.com, they have listings. So usually my first-time home buyers or any of my buyers have kind of already started some sort of online search here. But what I'm going to talk about is how we can get you connected or seeing properties that only fit your criteria of what you're looking for and are actually active and available for you to see. So this is when we're going to sit down during the buyer consultation. This is the first step of setting up your home, your criteria. So during the buyer's consultation, we're going to dig into all the fun stuff that you want in your home. We're going to talk about things that you would love to see in your new house. We'll talk about must-haves. So I gave you guys in the First Time Home Buyer Bootcamp freebie a buyer criteria sheet. So this is a chance for you to bring that in and us really dig into what are your wants versus your must-haves. We're also going to be talking about deal breakers. So any deal breakers that may come up or that you absolutely don't want in a house, we're going to talk about those because we want to be able to eliminate and really narrow down your search to only be getting properties that fit your criteria, so you're not overwhelmed. I know a lot of times buyers come into the appointment and they are overwhelmed with all the properties that they're seeing on those sites that I mentioned before, but this is when we're actually going to get you set up on a search to when you are notified of a new listing, it does fit what you're looking for and what you need in your first home. Some of the questions I'm going to ask you guys during that consultation are going to be, you know, what is your favorite room that you currently live in? What space do you have or that you don't have that you want because you know, you'd love to have it? Or how long do you see yourself living in the house? These are important questions outside of the normal, how many bedroom, bath, you know, the typical questions that I will still ask, but, and most agents will, but I really want to dig into why you're looking to purchase the home that you're purchasing. I think a lot of times buyers don't think about this enough, and then they get moved into the house and they realize it's actually not as a functional of a house as they wanted. So digging into the why you're purchasing and why you're needing certain rooms is really going to help you when it comes to actually setting up your home search. So the next step when we meet is really creating a custom home search for you guys. Like I mentioned, I'm going to make sure that you are getting only properties that are fitting your criteria. So making sure that it fits the square footage requirements that we talked about, the size of yard that you want, only in the location that is really ideal for you guys, really narrowing it down to create that custom home search. It's custom for a reason. It is built for you and are properties that fit what you're looking for. And when I create that custom home search, what that looks like is you're going to receive an email from me with a link to what we call the portal. This is actually coming straight from the multiple listing services, which is what real estate agents use when we're looking at houses. So again, not to dwell on the other sites, but those online sites like Zillow and Realtor.com, what you'll realize is they're just not usually up to date. And also, kind of a side note, sites like Zillow, anybody can post a listing on there, not just real estate agents. So a lot of times what we see is there's a lot of inaccuracy in what's actually available still, if the home is even actually for sale, because there's scams out there sometimes. So you will be getting a link that comes directly from what we use, what real estate agents use to do our home search. So you know that they're accurate, you know that the information's accurate, you know they're available, and they fit what you are looking for. So there's two ways that I can do this. I can set it up to send you that link as soon as something becomes available in your search, to send them to you automatically. Some buyers like this because they want to know exactly or instantly as soon as something becomes available. But just keep in mind that means you're probably going to get multiple emails in a day. Or the other thing I can do is set it up for you to get every morning notified of any new listings that fit your criteria. A lot of buyers prefer that just because they're not having to be bombarded with emails. And you can always go back into that link at any time of the day and see any new properties that fit your search. So from there, once you've received that link and you've gone through it, again, it's called the portal. If there's two of y'all, so there's two buyers, both of you can be connected into the same portal. You actually have options to trash, mark some as a possibility, and also mark the ones that you favorited. So obviously this is where you want to come through and eliminate any homes that don't fit your what you're looking for. So keep in mind, when I'm setting you up on a criteria search, I can only set up certain criteria as part of that search. For example, that means I can set up, you said you want at least 3 bedrooms, I can set that up. You want at least 2 bathrooms, I can set that up. What I can't set up is I want you know, my master bedroom to not be near the other bedrooms. There's not like a button or some sort of field that we can select as real estate agents to be able to only send you properties that fit that kind of criteria. And even though that may be an important want, or sorry, even a need, like it's a deal breaker if they're right next to each other, that's where we're going to be able to eliminate and filter through by looking at the photos. And usually you can tell by the photos, something like that with the layout, you know, what the layout is of the property. Or if it's something where you can't really tell from the photos, it's easy for me to just shoot a text or call the agent and just ask them, hey, is the master bedroom next to the spare bedrooms, or are they separated? So things like that we can do to eliminate before we actually go take a look at them. Doing as much as we can online before we take a look. So this is where you're gonna spend that time filtering through them, eliminating any homes that don't meet your criteria. You can write notes to each other. Like I said, if there's 2 of y'all, there's actually like a little note section, so you can add some notes. I can see those as well. Just kind of helps keep us all in communication about which homes don't fit what you're looking for, which ones you have set up as favorites, and any kind of questions that you guys have. So the ones, well, let me back up. So again, we want to eliminate any of the things that have major deal breakers. So when I set you guys up, what I like to do is I say, okay, so of these things, of the things that you've told me that you want in the criteria, which one of these are going to be deal breakers? Meaning that if it has this or doesn't have this certain criteria, you don't even want to take a look at it. So if your deal breaker, for example, is a house with less than 2 car garages, then I'm going to filter it out to not send you any properties with 1 garage or 0 garages, or no garage, I mean. So you will only get properties that fit, that only have the 2 car garages. This way you're not, A, overwhelmed with seeing all these properties, but B, also so you don't fall in love with a property and then come to find out it doesn't have the 2 car garages that are, you know, that's a deal breaker, that if it doesn't have the 2 car garages, that you don't get overwhelmed and you all automatically know that that 1 car garage house is no longer a contender. So just keep that in mind, that we want to eliminate as much as possible and really nail down on what your deal breakers are as well. So the custom home search is going to keep you right on track, again, for looking for the right house, because we can get so overwhelmed by all the houses that are out there. So really picking down or picking and narrowing down which properties fit that criteria when we first meet. So some of the things that you need to know about house hunting. So now that you have been set up on your criteria search, you're going to start selecting which houses fit what you're looking for. You're going to be able to trash, like I mentioned, the ones that don't, and then you're going to let me know which ones are worth touring. So some of the things you need to know when you do find a house that you want to see, number 1 is typically if a home is owner occupied, meaning the homeowner still lives in the property, we do need to give them some sort of notice to be able to tour that home. Some people want an overnight notice, just gives them enough time to know to, you know, put the dishes away, to make the beds, things like that. But on minimum, we usually need a few hour notice. The reason I say that, even if it is like an absolute 1 hour notice, is I need time to be able to not only schedule the homes, but also to get approval from the homeowners. So usually I will ask my buyers to notify me either that night before or in the morning if they're wanting to see any properties, and we'll schedule a time for us to go to take a look at them. But I do need some time to be able to schedule them or to request for the showings. So it's not something that where we can just say, hey, I want to see this house, you know, in 30 minutes, can you meet me there? A lot of times it's not necessarily up to my schedule, which we do have to, you know, obviously coordinate between your schedule and my schedule, but we also have to keep in mind the seller's schedule as well. When we're scheduling homes, we usually block off 1 hour of time for you to come and see the property. Now, you probably aren't going to spend the whole hour in the house, but if we do set up to see multiple properties at once, that just allows us enough time to see the home, travel to the next property, and then and make sure that we are staying within that 1 hour time frame. So again, you're probably not going to spend the whole hour, but we can always circle back around to another to one of the properties if you want to take a second look. So that's why I go ahead and just schedule a full hour in case we need it. So it's also important to know that show up on time for these showings. So like I mentioned, if we have multiple showings, it's super important that we stay on track, just because those sellers are leaving their properties at certain times, and so we have to make sure that we're seeing these homes in a certain window. And it's not really easy for me to reschedule all of a sudden if we are running behind. Sometimes I can do it and it's not a big deal, but just know that it sometimes doesn't work out that way. And so if we are running late, we may have to reschedule that house for a whole nother time. And so want to make sure that we're showing up on time. Hi, Michelle. How are you? Thanks for joining us. On week 3, we're talking about setting you up on your home criteria and searching homes, or what it looks like when we go and do our home search. So, okay, so also this is just kind of like a side note, just out of respect, you always want to make sure that we actually go in and see the property. And I know that sounds silly, but sometimes a buyer will drive up to the house and they may say, nope, absolutely not, I don't like it, and they want to move on to the next one. Now, sometimes if we're in a time crunch, I'll be like, yeah, that's okay, let's not waste time, let's go. But sometimes I'll say, well, while we're here, we're already took the time to drive here, we're here now. The sellers probably had to leave their house, you know, and spent the time to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look. It also helps me be able to see why this house wasn't a good fit for you. Maybe there's some things in the inside we can discuss, and also leave some feedback for the listing agent so we can help them as well understand better why it wasn't a good fit for you and my buyer. So the next thing I want to note out is we want to try to keep our conversation or our thoughts of the home outside of the house. So it sounds really, again, kind of silly, but we are in 2020. There are a lot of people who have cameras and microphones and all the different things throughout their house, not maybe intentionally, but you know, if you've got an Alexa or you've got a Ring doorbell, for example, they're probably listening. So a lot of homeowners may be listening to what you're saying. We want to keep that kind of in mind. For two reasons, because we want to be able to remain neutral just in case you do decide that you want to write an offer. So we want to make sure if you are head over heels over it and we're planning on making an offer, we kind of don't let them see how excited you're getting. And also we want to keep that in mind so we don't discuss anything that could maybe offend the seller. So if they're listening and you say, oh my gosh, these curtains are hideous, like that's an opinion, but guess what? Those curtains do not have to stay with the house. Obviously, they can be changed. So it just kind of helps kind of not offend sellers and also keep us neutral. So yep, video cameras are everywhere. One of the things I realize is, for example, baby cameras. You walk into a baby's room, they most likely have a camera, and you know, sellers are tempted to just listen in. I know I've had some sellers that have told me, hey, we have a camera set up, and they watched the whole time we did the open house. They're more than welcome to do that, and they legally can. The only thing is we do usually, as a listing agent, we have to disclose that there are cameras or some sort of audio recording happening. Does that happen all the time? No. So just wanted to go ahead and point that out there, that could, it's more likely, well, I wouldn't say most likely, most houses don't have them, but there is a good chance that they're listening somehow. So just keep that in mind. So when you're walking through it, you're not giving away how excited you are about the house, because again, you want to stay as neutral as possible if we decide to make an offer, and so we don't offend any of the sellers. So especially if you do decide to make an offer, it'd be terrible if you offended the seller and you tried to make an offer and they probably may not like to accept that if you point out that their drapes that they love are hideous. So just keep that in mind. We can always swing by a coffee shop later to discuss, or like I said, usually I tell my buyers, hey, as soon as we walk outside of the house, we'll talk a little more in detail about, you know, what you thought about the house. If you want to make an offer, we could talk about the terms outside of the house. Again, just in case they're listening, we definitely don't want to talk about terms inside of the house. Or we can meet at a coffee shop later. I know right now we're in quarantine, so coffee shop may not be as easy or be the easiest thing, but we can always do that as soon as we walk out to the car. The last thing that I want to let you guys know as we are going through and we're looking at homes is I always recommend that we keep our house hunting max to at least 5 showings in a day. The reason I say that is it can be super overwhelming when you extend past 5 in a day. Houses start to really blend together and you forget, wait, what was the first one again? Was it the one that we liked or was it the second one? Now I'm gonna usually have my phone with me or my iPad with me to where I'm pulling up the properties and I can always remind you of things like that. But if we're seeing more than 5 at a time, it can get really overwhelming and stressful, and so I usually say it's best just to keep it at a max. Now, some of you may be out of town buyers, so you have only like a weekend to see those properties. That is kind of an exception, and I have done that before where we saw like 14 properties or 15 properties, whatever we could in literally 10-hour time frame that we had. At that point, if that's the case and we're seeing that many homes and it's just for the weekend and you have to find a house in that time frame that we are given, what I usually do is I'll actually print out like a showing, like home tour guide that literally has all of the houses there printed for you with a note section so you can take notes. So that way you're remembering those houses as we're walking through them. As for a typical buyer that, you know, we go see a house today, we may go see some in a few days from now. 5 is really that max, and just what I recommend. So how do sellers feel about photographing to keep properties straight? So that's okay. One of the things that just as if you're interested in like the logistics of it, one of the things that we as listing agents, when we are putting together the listing agreement and we're putting it into the MLS, one of the options in the MLS is if you pay enough attention, it says video and photos okay, and it will usually say yes or no. Typically, we're going to put check yes. I mean, the photos are already out there online for everybody to see, either on the MLS or the you know, are out on from the MLS, they go out to like Zillow and Realtor.com. So I think photographing is totally okay. Obviously, I think there's like kind of like some common sense with that, with don't be like photographing like, I don't know how to put this, but like maybe you see a bunch of quirky, weird like photos of them and you're photographing the people in the photos. Like, what are you going to do with those photos? Like, are you putting that out on, you know, Facebook or something like that? I know you probably wouldn't do that, Michelle, but you get what I'm saying, where if you wanted to take a photo of the family with the kid in the photo, like, I would say maybe not take photographs of their personal stuff, but of the actual house, which is what we're there to look for, that absolutely, there's usually no problem with that. So unless they specifically tell us in the showing time when we go to schedule the showings, or on the MLS not to take photos, then it's usually okay. So good question. So again, 5 at a max. So that is all I can think of, or that is all of the tips I had for you guys when it came to setting up your home criteria and us doing the home searching process. So at this point, now that you have found the one, in the next episode, we're going to be talking about what those next steps are now that you found the one and you want to make an offer. So in the final part of this 4 video series, that is what we're going to be talking about. So make sure you guys tune in, mark your calendars. It's next Thursday at 11 a.m. Plan to go live at that time every week. Of course, mainly I'm thinking of see the homes issues, but not, yeah, no, 100%. And that is a great point. Sometimes, like you said, there's things that you can't see in the MLS, like foundation cracks are really hard to see in the photos, things like that. And so if you want to take some photos to maybe your significant other or other buyer can't be there with you, to point that out to them, or to remind you of those things, yeah, absolutely. Just no pictures of their pictures. So yes, you can definitely do that. And I say that because it has happened. So not just making that up. Anyways, just a quick reminder that I also have that first time home buyer bootcamp series. So if you haven't requested a free copy of that, let me know. You can always go back to the other videos also to see those. And I gave away some little freebies along the way in those videos. So just let me know if you guys are thinking about buying your first home again in the next 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, 2 years from now, and you're wanting some of these resources. Either send me a direct message, call me, text me, however, we can get you guys connected with those freebies. We want to make sure that you have those and are using them. Spent a lot of time putting them together and they look super cute, I think, thanks to Lindsay. And just share this video if you guys know anybody else who is a first-time home buyer or second-time home buyer, or they're thinking about buying a home and they could use this information. Feel free to share this to your page or to other people and let them know what I'm doing with the first-time homebuyer bootcamp. So thanks guys again for tuning in for this week's episode of Bless This Nest. If you guys have any other questions for me, I'm also going to be going onto my stories later today too and answering some more questions that you guys had sent me. I did some last week and I'm going to do some more just about more specifically about home buying. So if you do have any questions that you want me to answer, let me know. And if you guys have any video topic ideas, I know I've got next month we're going to be doing the seller boot camp, because now we're doing the buyer. Next month we'll do the seller. And I have a few other topics in mind as well. But if you guys do have any other topics that you want me to talk more about and you think would be a great idea, let me know. I'm all ears. Hope you guys have an awesome Thursday. Thanks, Marissa. Thanks for the support. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. So I think there's a little rain in the forecast here in DFW, but that's okay. We're not going to let it get us down. I know we've got some fun plans. So I will see you guys next week on Bless This Nest. Have an awesome day.